In the ancient kingdom of Phrygia, there was a king named Midas. King Midas had everything he wished for. He lived in total luxury, however. The king had a very distinguishable characteristic, that is being his greed and hunger for gold. It is true that Midas was very rich, but he still wanted even more gold. It was said that the king would even go as far as covering his body in gold coins, bathing literally in his wealth. However, gold was not the only precious thing Midas had. He had a beautiful daughter, whom he loved more than anything. On a certain day in Phrygia, two visitors came to Midas's kingdom. These visitors were the Greek god Dionysus, the god of wine and fertility, and his satyr named Silenus. Satyrs are creatures from Greek mythology that are part human and part goat. We are often depicted as being wild, lustful, and fond of wine. They are also associated with the god Dionysus. On the day they came to the kingdom, the horned creature became very exhausted. After drinking a lot of wine, he went drunkenly to sleep in a castle's garden. This garden was none other than the one in King Midas's castle. Midas found the satyr in his garden and recognized him as Dionysus's companion, so he decided to invite him to the castle as a guest. The satyr was very happy in the king's company. He was shown great hospitality, being served food and wine later on. Dionysus followed the satyr to the king's castle, but God smiled upon seeing his companion having a good time. But God was pleased with the king's treatment towards Silenus, so pleased that he told Midas that he is willing to grant him any wish he wants. Midas showed a greedy look, thinking about what to wish for. Obviously, it had to be something that is shiny and glitters. He did not think twice. Midas couldn't believe this literally. Golden opportunity. So he wished for the ability to turn anything he touches into gold. After hearing his wish, the god started channeling his divine powers and granted the wanted magical ability to the king. Midas's fingers started glowing, and he was in total disbelief. To test his new power, Midas decided to touch a bronze chalice, and upon touching it, it turned into shiny gold. So Midas went into total frenzy and started turning everything in his castle into gold. He turned tables, chairs, pillars, walls, everything, and after finishing, he tried to relax. So he picked up a red rose to smell it. However, on holding it in his hand, it started turning into gold. Midas was disappointed, yet he forgot about it quickly. Then he got thirsty, so he decided to drink a glass of water. However, while touching the glass, water turned into pure gold. At this point, Midas was getting really nervous and started rethinking his choice. His daughter entered the room and saw her discomforted father so she jumped into his arms to give him a big hug. And yep, you guessed it, she turned into gold. At that moment Myra started screaming. He went shouting in the streets in total panic. He was running with the aim of finding Dionysus. Hearing Midas's screams, the god looked at the king. As soon as he came to him, Midas started crying and begging the god to remove his curse. Dionysus felt pity for the poor man, so he told him to go to the river Bachelus and to wash his hands in it. Dionysus said that upon doing so, the curse would be removed. Obeying the god's orders, Midas mounted his horse and started traveling towards the river until he finally reached it. The king looked at the river and started moving into the water. Upon sinking his hands in the water, gold started releasing from his fingers. Midas then finished washing his hands and decided to travel back to his castle. The king was in total regret, yet he definitely learned a lesson this time. And upon entering his sweet home, yes, you guessed it, Midas rejoined with his young daughter.